are so glad that everyone could be here, and it is a privilege to spend this time with you to learn more about the remedy. I believe the Bible teaches that our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. So the way we take care of our bodies means a lot. So today we're going to learn. I'm ready to learn, and I know some of you are really ready to learn. So as we're getting ready to and prepared to take notes, I just want to reaffirm that we don't ask for any money. It's not to pay to register, but it's just if you feel convicted and want to give a donation, we have a basket ready right here on your way out. Feel free, whatever the Holy Spirit impresses in your heart, you can lay it in the basket. First, my name is Pastor Jude, and then we have our speaker for the day. Her name is Yin Schaff, and I'm ready to hear what she has to teach me today. So please sit back and enjoy your time. Before we go into the presentation, let's just bow our heads for a short word of prayer. Gracious Father in heaven, we give you thanks for allowing us to come together to learn about the remedies, how we can help our bodies and take care of ourselves, and to wait for your soon return. As we are about to begin this program, we pray that this program will be a blessing for those who have a chance to be here and those who are at home watching online. May you be with Yen as she presenting her documents and her slides so that everyone may learn something today and be transformed for your glory. Thank you, Father, for your presence. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And now our speaker, Yin Schaff. Enjoy.
Well, good afternoon. I just want to welcome each one of you. There are some familiar faces, and I think most of them I know everyone. And I just want to welcome, I also would like to welcome those who are streaming in. And I hope that what I'm presenting is going to benefit you. And I think everybody desires health, right? I always say to my patient, when you have no health, you are miserable. I am not, or I don't claim that I know everything, but I am delighted what I have learned in the past few months about simple remedies. So let's dive in, and I will leave the Q&A later after I completed the presentations, okay? Yeah, I chose the title Simple Remedies and God's Healing Ways. I have worked in the hospital for multiple years. What I noticed that now it's getting harder to get medicines. Almost on a monthly basis, I get the email in the hospital. It says, we're short of this, we're short of that. And it makes me wonder, and are we going to have the medication that what we need later on? And you notice now the baby formula is not even available, right? So, and I'm convicted. To me, simple remedy, if you can help to boost up your immune system, that's the best way. I have a passion of the primary preventions. Lifestyle medicine is the way to go. I'm not saying that medication is not going to work. There's a place for medication. And like, you know, if you do really get the heart attack, if they need a stent put in, of course, stent is going to work. But will that keep you heart strong? It is only through your lifestyle. My learning objective today is I am going to review 8 steps to whole health. I'm not going to go through one by one and the simple remedies and what are they. What I'm going to review with you is the understanding the benefit of hydrotherapy. And I'm going to show you a couple demonstrations, and one of them is the hot foot bath and a steam bath. And the steam bath, and a lot of time people call it as a Russian steam bath. I think now I'm just going to leave the Russian part, okay? I'm just going to go steam bath, much simpler. And a quick disclaimer, the information being shared today is not intended to take the place of the medical advice. So please, that is not taking away what your doctor had explained to you or told you what to do. This is the purpose of this presentation, is to help you make informed decision on your lifestyle practices. And the third one is this presentation is designed to inspire and encourage you to build a system of practices that are effective, sustainable, and enjoyable while being supported by evidence-based research. I am just so, I don't know, bubble, I guess, from the information, what the lifestyle medicine simple remedy, the research finding out there, it just galore. So the 8 principles of health is, number 1 is the nutrition. I'm the whole believer of the whole plant-based diet. And to me, when you have the good whole food, plant-based, and your health is always better. And there are study from Dr. Esselstyn many, many years ago. And in fact, he wrote the book called Reversing Cardiovascular Disease. If you do have coronary artery disease, eating a plant-based food, they can reverse it. And the exercise, we don't need to be running a marathon. Simple walking. Have a good tennis shoes, just walk. If you can achieve about 10,000 steps every day, that is really good. How many of you knows how many step is 10,000? How many miles? 5 miles. That's it. You don't have to do it all at once. You can do a few, 1 mile in the morning, 1 mile in the afternoon. And if you have not walked for quite some time, do a baby steps, just 15 minutes at a time, and build it up until you build up your endurance. And water. Lots of my patients, Yin, what is the best thing to drink? I always said H2O. What is it? Water. You know, because so many people said, oh, but I love drinking soda pop. And I said, you know, it's diet, Yin, there's no calorie. But you know what? It's a fool. Our brain is so smart. What happened when it says diet? Our brain said, I want some sugar. And that, in fact, the people who are drinking diet gain more weight, as studies have shown that. So just drink water. And if you don't like to drink water, now there's coming up with so many fused bottle. My favorite is fusing basil. In the water, it's one of the best. If you can fuse with fresh cut lemon, fresh cut lime, but my favorite is basil. It is so good. And so that gives you just a flavor. Drink water. One of my girlfriends did a study. She was finishing a PhD in her public health, and she did study of water with the cardiovascular disease. And she was found people who are drinking more water, particularly when you wake up and drink water, nice 2 big glass warm water, it helps to decrease the evidence or the risk for heart attack. And that was done 2002, many years ago. And sunshine, what do we get from sunshine? Vitamin D. And we have seen so many benefits of vitamin D. And of course, here in the Northland, I've been waiting for sunshine for many months. Where are they? But I guess we just have to be patient, right? We're in the Northland. And temperance. Temptation is very easy. And we just have to learn to control ourselves and particularly, lots of people said, oh, I have always the chocolate, dark chocolate. I love dark chocolate. I'm not too much of a sweet eater, but I do really like dark chocolate. The darker is the better for me. And I have to learn to control myself. I just learned a little piece at a time. So, and dark chocolate, it does have also benefit for cardiovascular disease. And the only thing is you just have to pay attention. Is there lots of sugars and cream and other ingredients that add to it? Fresh air is also good. It helps for our well-being, make us so much more awake when you take a deep breath out there. And fresh air is very good. Rest, and of course, sleeping to get 7 to 8 hours every night. Early going to bed, early rise, that's one of the best, because that's where the melatonin is being produced. So, and of course, I myself being the 7-day Adventist, and I truly believe the Sabbath, the rest, the Sabbath on the 7th day. And I welcome it and delight it every week. And trust in the divine power. And I noticed that, trusting the divine power and in the patient who really, really, really have a relationship with the divine power, they're less likely to have complication. And also if they have or they're going to die, they feel at peace. And so trusting divine power is, I don't know what your trusts are, and I think I would recommend divine power is my first choice. And this is based on the New Start program. There are institutions held in California, and it's called New Start. But there's also a program out there. It's called, I think it's Mark Finley, Teeny Finley, and she chose the word wellness. And W stand for water, E for exercise, L for lifestyle, L for love, nutrition, environment, sunlight, and sleep. And then there's another one, also institutions called in Florida, Florida Hospital, called Creation Health. And it stands for choice for C, rest for R, environment, activity, trust in God, interpersonal relationship, outlook, and nutrition. So those are a very, very good principle, law of health. And you probably said, Yin, how about gene? Where's the gene come from? And gene does play a role, but the percentage is not as big as our lifestyle. If you follow the lifestyle, is that now it's coming up with the epigenetic. Epigenetic, nutrition, the exercise, you can turn off and on the gene. The good gene is on, the bad gene is off. But that's another topic to learn about the epigenetic. But that's down the road. Hopefully one of these days we can cover that. So, what I'm going to cover today is hydrotherapy. And hydrotherapy, hydro means water, therapy means treatment. What it does is that we utilize the external use water in a medical treatment for certain disease. And there's 3 forms of hydrotherapy. You can use solid. What does that mean, solid? You can freeze the water and put it in the styrofoam. Sometime when you have swelling, you can just peel the styrofoam and then rub it into the swelling area. That's in the form of solid. And liquid, of course, just a regular water. And the vapor, I will show you how do we use vapor, and which is in the form of the steam bath. Now, the history of hydrotherapy is way, way, way back to Hippocrates. And that is the Greece that way back in 460 to 377 before Christ. And they used a Roman bath. And so they've been using it way back early in the years. And then, of course, the Chinese and the Japanese and also use it, and they use it as a alternative and supplement therapy that happened in the 200 before Christ. And I remember one time one of my girlfriends lived in Japan. I visited her, and she lived in the old-fashioned Japanese house. And she said, "You ready for a bath?" And I said, "Yeah." And so I was just sitting, and she said, "Okay, there you go." It was a tub that go deep down, lower from the main floor, and you go in there with a clean body. So you have to shower first before you go in there. So she said, I could soak as long as I want. So I did soak for a long time because, flying from Indonesia, and it's not too bad, 8 hours. To me, 8 hours flight, that's not bad compared to when I had to fly to Indonesia for 22 hours. So 8 hours is not too bad. And it was very relaxing. And then after that, and then there's another tub, and you just put cold water into your body. And it was very, very refreshing. And the Japanese still use it, and then still very, very prominent in Japan. The European is very well known. And which country, if you can recall, that use it? Yes, Finland. The Finlander, the sauna, and I would encourage you, but later on, to get into a sauna. It's really, I will encourage you to listen one of the medcram that was studied by one of the molecular biologists. But later on, I'll remind me if I don't remember. Sauna is very, very, very beneficial, and for our health. And the Finlander, I think I heard it's every house, right? In Finland has the sauna. Even a couple sauna. Wow. It's probably just alternating from one to the other. Yeah. And, for example, if you don't have the sauna, when you go into the fitness center, get in there, take advantage of it. And, it's very interesting. And there's in 1799 to 1851, there's a farmer named Vincent Persnick. And he was in the accident in the farm. And the doctor said there's nothing else that he could do for him. So what he did is he decided to giving himself a hydrotherapy, because he used to give it to his animal. And he got healed. So guess what he did? He ended up and do a routine hydrotherapy to so many people. And it was just a booming in his town doing hydrotherapy. So there's a lot of benefit from it. How about in the United States? And the United States is also, it grew interest in after 1830. And 213 hospitals treating patients primarily with hydrotherapy were opened in the U.S. between 1840 to 1900. And from there, the popular magazine came out entitled The Water Cure Journal. And it grew over 100,000 subscribers in the 1850s. And there is a doctor named Dr. James Jackson's conducted an institute specialized in hydrotherapy in New York. And after practicing as a physician, he wrote, I quote, "In my entire practice, I have never given a dose of medicine. I have used in the treatment of my patients the following: air, food, water, sunlight, dress, exercise, sleep, rest, social influence, and mental and moral forces. That is amazing. But of course, you know, in the Adventist Church, we have Ellen G. White, and she received the visions. That was in June 6, 1863, and she received the visions about health reform, and that was happened in Michigan. So they ended up, the Adventists opened the first health facility in Battle Creek in Michigan, and they called the Western Health Reform Institute. And in 1876, lots of you probably remember Dr. Kellogg, Cornflake Kellogg, that's Dr. Kellogg. And he became the superintendent of the institute, and then the name changed to become Medical and Surgical Sanitarium. And it was designed as a place where people learn to stay well. It rapidly became a world-famous institutions. And Dr. Kellogg wrote a book, Rationale of Hydrotherapy. Now, why is it that the hydrotherapy are so benefit? There's properties in it, and it's, of course, here in the Northland, we have Lake Superior, right? But it is so easily available, right? You could just go to the bathroom, open up the faucet, there we go. But of course, if I have to compare like the country in Africa, I remember I went to Africa, visited a couple tribe. There was very difficult of obtaining water. And so that's different to our country here in America. Water is so accessible. And the solvent and being able to be the one and solving the material, it's non-irritating, and water gives up heat rapidly, yet it does not cool too rapidly. It exists in the 3 states, as I mentioned prior, and it's a great power for absorbing and releasing heat, and it's very easy to apply, and has the proper fluidity. And there's one more also, and the density of buoyancy, and because of the floating capability for the water. Now, the physiology effect for the hot and cold water, of course, heat, what happens when you receive heat in our body? It's vasodilate, right? And the cold is vasoconstrict. When you have a vasodilator get into or contact with your body, what happens? It increases the blood flow. It increases the edema, meaning swelling. It increases hemorrhage, decrease the muscle pain and spasm, decrease the stiffness and arthritis. And the cold, it's because it's vasoconstrict, and it decreases the blood flow, decrease the inflammatory process, and decrease the swelling production, decrease hemorrhage, decrease muscle pain and spasm, and increase the stiffness in arthritis. And you probably heard that people who have arthritis, when they get cold, ooh, my hands are stiff, my hands are achy, right? And sometimes I experience that in my fingers. Now, the hydrotherapy and the body, it has 3 effects. And the 3 of them is derivative effect and sudorific effect, tonic effect, and then increase circulation to a specific area, and stimulate the immune system, the white body cell, and multiply and become more active. Remember this, I underline, increase innate immunity system, and I will show the video clips how to increase that innate immune system, and also raise the body temperatures, and they call it heat shock protein. So what does the derivative mean? The derivative means it has the capability moving from the when you apply the hydrotherapy is from the congestion, moving from the congested to the uncongested area. For example, and a young lady, if they have pelvic pain from having coming with the menstruations, if they have some pain, hydrotherapy works. And so you can relieve the congestion from the pelvic area. You can have a relief congestion from your chest, particularly if you have a cold chest and you have coming up with a cold or pneumonia. Very, very, very effective. And sometimes the headache also. And now sudorific means sweaty, because when you heat up, your blood vessel open up, you sweat, your pores are open up. So it helps to remove a toxin from your body. And it helps release the heat from the body in case of fever. The tonic effect is what it does is that the treatment of the vital activity, so to restore the body into the normal tone or condition. As the effect from it, you feel relaxed. And that's the tonic effect. What it does is because it enhances supply the oxygen and nutrient into your body circulations. So the principle of the hydrotherapy is really what it does is it's create of the heat in the body. And the greater the temperature difference between your body and whatever that either you're sitting in the sauna or you're sitting getting a steam bath, that's where the benefits come in. And it's happen in the body. It can increase your pulse rate, it can increase your core temperature, it increases your metabolism, and it increase your immunity, and increase white blood cell, and increase agitation and blood alkalinity. Our body doesn't like acidity. When your body is more acid, it has more problem. Alkaline, the environment, they strive for a good health. All right, how many of you know who Dr. Roger Schwell? Aha. How many have listened to his MedCram? Yeah. Dr. Roger Schwell is an amazing doctor. He's board certified in 4 areas: internal medicine, critical care, sleep medicine, and pulmonologist, which is a lung specialist. He's currently come on in. That's okay. He's currently is working in California, I believe in Benning. He's taking care of lots of COVID patients. And he is an amazing doctor. During the COVID, he dived into all sort kind of research about COVID. And if you want to know about the research study, what's happening, get into MedCram. And how did he start it is he had a student named Carl Redall. He's a PA, and he spent 1 month with him, and he told Dr. Schwell, he said, Dr. Schwell, nowadays people doesn't go to library. I said, how about we start the MedCram? So Kyle and Dr. Schwell are the co-author or co-founder for the MedCram. I personally had the opportunity, met him last March in California. He is an amazing and smart doctor and very down to earth. And so I have a video clip that I want you to show you, but also one more thing. Because of his so good finding the information about COVID, he received a medal award from the King of Bahrain. And because King Bahrain has been listening to all his recommendations about the COVID, and he told the people in Bahrain to follow the recommendation from Dr. Schwell. And one day, he received a phone call from the king, and he was so shocked. He said, the king wanted to give him the award. He invited him to fly to Washington, D.C. So he and his father flew over there, received the medical award. That is amazing. And he is so amazing. And so I'm going to show you. This is a 16-minute video clip. And please listen to the word called innate immunity. Why is it benefit for our body?
Are you saying
MedCram, 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 yeah. And you could just Google Roger Schwab. How do I do that? Do I just forward?
So, the audio.
I don't. There's no sound.
The audio from there to here.
Should I stop it? Oh, so sorry. But anyhow, Dr. Swell, there's so much information about, for example, if you're a nurse or in the health professional, you want to know understanding about the lab, arterial blood gas, and CBC, complete blood count, electrocardiogram, Dr. Swell. And he explained it so down to earth and very easy to understand. While they're fixing this, the sound, does anybody have any question? You can hear me okay? You can understand my English? I always said I speak a little English. So sorry, I guess we should have tried earlier. How do I? There we go. There we go. It's about 16 minutes.
About 10 days taking care of patients. There's been about 1 or 2 people with COVID, so that's a little bit higher than what I'm normally used to seeing. I know we're all kind of filled up with hearing about COVID-19, but I wanted to talk to you today about something that we've talked to you about before, the innate immune system and hydrotherapy that is starting to catch on in terms of the innate immune system. So I wanted to do an update regarding this. First of all, let's take a look at the numbers and see what's going on right now with the Omicron subvariants. So what we have here at the bottom are dates starting here in February and going all the way to May 7th here, 2022. And these are all Omicron variants, but they're subvariants. So you can see early on, we have BA.1.1 dominating. And then as of late, there's this new, they believe, more infectious subvariant of Omicron called BA.2.12.1. And it seems as though this lineage is increasing, especially in the northeast portion of the United States. So those who are interested will know that some of these numbers are going up. And recently, Dr. Eric Topol, who we've actually had on here on MedCram, was on CNN to discuss what's going around the country. Now, Dr. Eric Topol is the head researcher and professor of molecular biology at Scripps Institute in La Jolla, California. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Absolutely. So, Doctor, the Biden administration is issuing a new warning that the U.S. could potentially see 100 million COVID-19 infections this fall and winter if Congress doesn't approve more money to fight the coronavirus. Do you agree with that prediction? And what do people need to be doing right now to avoid infection, hospitalization, or perhaps worse?
Well, you know, with anything, as you know, Rosemary, this virus is quite unpredictable. The 100 million cases in the late fall or winter is certainly possible. We saw almost twice as many in the worst, monstrous Omicron wave that was really hit us in the first part of this year. Right now, though, we're seeing a significant increase in cases, and we're starting to see some substantial increase in hospitalizations. And it's because of this variant that's about to become dominant, this so-called BA2.12.1, which is a subvariant of Omicron, but it's a lot more transmissible than Omicron or the BA2. And so we are likely going to see substantial number of cases. You know, the recent days today was 85,000. We had a few days last week of 100,000, and that's just the confirmed cases. And we know so many people either don't get tested or have rapid tests. So that could be 500,000 cases a day or even up to 1 million for all we know.
So it seems as though there is going to be a swell coming up later this year in the winter time and early next year. The question is what can we do now to prepare for that? And if you listen to the next question that the interviewer asks, it's going to be very interesting, and it's going to take you back to some of the videos that we did early in the pandemic. And for those of you who watch MedCram regularly, this should not come as a surprise.
Yeah, it's a good point. And Doctor, some of us have never been infected with COVID, while others get infected multiple times. And some of those infections are asymptomatic, while others develop such serious symptoms they end in death. What more are we learning about that extraordinary scope of reaction to COVID and why some people never get it at all?
Right. Well, the spectrum about getting severe COVID is where there have been some breakthroughs in genetics. And interferon, the innate immune pathway, the first line of defense, it is altered in some people, making them either more susceptible or less.
So we talked about this early in the pandemic, early in 2020. We talked about the innate immune system and specifically how increasing the body temperature could enhance the immune system and specifically the innate immune system. If you want more information about that, I would highly recommend looking at MedCram COVID-19 Update 46 and 47, but also 132, because it's there that we talked about why kids don't seem to be admitted to the hospital or be as sick as adults in COVID-19. Watch. Have you ever wondered why kids don't go to the hospital as often as adults do in terms of COVID-19? Well, I thought this was a very interesting article that was put out by Nature Biotechnology titled Pre-Activated Antiviral Innate Immunity in the Upper Airways Controls Early SARS-CoV-2 Infection in Children. And I think this article may actually give us some pretty good information as to what we can do to improve our immune system. As we've talked about in previous videos, we tried to see what it was that we could do that might prevent hospitalization. And the key to that is the immune system, and how there are two aspects to the immune system, the innate immune system on the left and the adaptive immune system on the right. Now, the innate immune system, which includes things like macrophages and natural killer cells, all work together to eat up or phagocytize the viral particles and viruses that infect people early on. The innate immune system is usually very strong in young children and gets weaker with age. Interferon is a product of the innate immune system. Interferon is very important in terms of fighting SARS-CoV-2 infection. And so anything that we can do to improve interferon levels would be important. So what you see here in this graph on the left side, which is the amount of interferon alpha-2, and the activity on the right, is that as the critical nature of SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 gets worse, that's associated with a lower amount or level or activity of interferon. You can see here on the black bar the baseline secretion of interferon. And with mild disease, we see a very large increase in interferon levels and activity here in the blue box. As it gets more severe and then even critical in the red, we can see there that there's almost no interferon activity in those situations. So this leads us to believe that interferon levels can basically predict the outcomes of COVID-19. So what they did in this study was they looked at the upper respiratory tract cells in not only children and adults, but also in children that were infected with SARS-CoV-2 and children that were not infected with SARS-CoV-2. And what they found was that children displayed higher basal expression of relevant pattern recognition receptors that were involved with interferon and resulting in a stronger innate antiviral responses upon SARS-CoV-2. In the article, they say, it's been shown that an early cell-intrinsic innate immune response mediated by pattern recognition receptors and the type 1 and type 3 interferon system, it is crucial for the successful control of SARS-CoV-2 infection. In line with these observations, recent studies compared adults and children with severe COVID-19 or those presenting to an emergency department and described an impaired interferon response in pediatric COVID-19. However, the molecular mechanisms protecting against COVID-19 in younger age groups, particularly in those with no or only mild to moderate symptoms, remains unknown, and that was the purpose of this paper. So what they found using molecular techniques were higher levels of genes and their proteins in the epithelial cells in the upper airway in children as opposed to adults. And they say here that this result suggests an increased ability of the respiratory mucosa of children to respond to viral infections, which is further supported by the highly increased amounts of innate immune cells in the upper airways. So that key there is that there were more innate immune cells. Furthermore, they say that following virus sensing, there was signaling through a number of different expression and antiviral effectors, such that antiviral cytokines such as interferon beta and interferon lambda. So these interferons act on epithelial cells in a autocrine and paracrine manner. That means on themselves and also on cells around them. And all of this basically was shown to exhibit strong antiviral activity against SARS-CoV-2. Now, this is very important. In the discussion, they say that our data provides clear evidence that the epithelia and immune cells of the upper airways or the nose of children are pre-activated and primed for virus sensing. This is likely a general feature of the children's mucosal immune response, but of particular relevance for SARS-CoV-2. Very recently, scRNA sequencing of fibroblasts infected with chikungunya virus showed an extremely narrow window of opportunity for the cells to express interferons before viral protein production shuts off the antiviral system. You see here that there are viral proteins which can actually shut down the body's antiviral system, and this is exactly what happens with SARS-CoV-2. This likely also explains the differences between SARS-CoV-2 and other respiratory viruses, including respiratory syncytial virus, influenza A virus, or SARS-CoV, in terms of the induced host response. Now notice that SARS-CoV-2 is characterized by extensive intracellular replication and a remarkable absence of interferon production and secretion. And I think this is the key statement right here, that in SARS-CoV-2, where there should be a prolific response of interferon, there isn't. And that's important because it says here, on the other hand, SARS-CoV-2 is highly sensitive to treatment with interferons before or after infection, as shown in lung epithelial cells, even more so than SARS-CoV. Wow, so what did we learn here? We learned that the innate immune system is critical in suppressing and getting rid of these viral infections. In fact, it may be the reason why SARS-CoV-2 is successful at causing severe diseases, because it's able to shut down the innate immune system. And remember, the innate immune system is not dependent on the variant. So the innate immune system is going to work just as well on Delta as it is on Omicron, as it is on the Omicron subvariants. It doesn't really matter. It's the innate immune system strength that matters. So the question is there something that we can do to boost or enhance our innate immune system, and specifically to increase secretion of interferon? And the answer is yes. And this is nothing new. For those of you who have been following MedCram, we talked about this way back in Update 46 and 47 over a year ago. So in this paper that was published in 1988 in the Journal of Interferon Research, scientists took human subjects and subjected them to different temperatures and then measured the amount of interferon that was secreted after stimulation from monocytes. And what they found is that as core body temperature increased from 37 degrees Celsius all the way up to 39, once it hit 39, the amount of interferon released from lymphocytes after mitogen stimulation was 10-fold higher than it was at 38.5. Now, this was an in vitro study, but it does seem to suggest that there are things that you can do in terms of body temperature, or indeed the benefits of fever in terms of boosting that innate immune system. For those of you who want more information on this, I highly recommend Update 47. And just to briefly review, we did talk about the Nobel Prize in Medicine winner in 1927, Dr. Julius Wagner-Jauregg, who used fever to basically cure his patients of neurosyphilis in his Austrian psychiatric ward. But as it says here in this article that was published back in 2013 in the journal Psychiatry, other things can be used, including immersion of the individual in a hot bath or placing him in a heat cabinet. We also talked about the 1918 pandemic and also the observations of Dr. Wells Rubel, who was the medical director of the Boston Sanitarium. And these were Dr. Rubel's observations that were published but not peer-reviewed in a religious periodical entitled Life and Health, May 1st, 1919. Where it was shown that when used with other modalities such as sunshine, fresh air, ventilation, things of that nature, they were able to approach an infection fatality ratio of about 1.1%, whereas those in the Army hospitals who used aspirin to suppress fevers and did not expose their patients to sunlight had an infection fatality ratio of 6.4%. Again, this is not a practice that I would do in lieu of other things. We like to talk about the Swiss cheese respiratory virus pandemic defense model that has been shown multiple times, where each intervention that you do filters out more and more of these viral particles so that you are protected here at the end. I'd like to give credit to Ian Mackey, who created this picture, but I'd also like to add a couple more slices of cheese to this. So sleep, vitamin D, sunlight, fresh air, hydrotherapy. The more slices of cheese, the better protection you're going to have against SARS-CoV-2. And not any of these is 100% effective. So in this video, we talked about potential strategies for increasing your core body temperature and the potential positive effects on interferon for doing that, especially with COVID-19. And this practice is often referred to as hydrotherapy or hyperthermia. And again, even though we don't have randomized controlled trials showing the efficacy of raising core body temperature in SARS-CoV-2 briefly, this is one potential treatment that can be used in conjunction with other medical treatments while the patient is at home after diagnosis, but not sick enough to be admitted to the hospital. And of course, the other thought is that maybe not treating fevers aggressively unless they get over 102, that might be beneficial, because here you have the innate immune system that's producing a fever, and that fever is beneficial for getting rid of the virus, because as we've shown, that increased core body temperature can activate interferon levels. And as it turns out, this modality of treatment possibility has already been suggested and was published in Medical Hypotheses in January of 2021. Great. So a great way to get prepared is to check out the websites in the description below, specifically about hydrotherapy. I think you should also check out our video that we did with Rhonda Patrick on saunas. I think that's really important. And if you like this video and you want to support us, send this video to as many people as you can. Obviously, subscribe to us and join us at medcram.com. At medcram.com, we have more videos. Specifically, we have a video series on health, ophthalmology, and hair health specifically. Thanks for joining us.
Very interesting, huh? Particularly during our COVID era. And it hasn't gone away. So now the variant keep coming back, or new variant kept, how are we going to be able to strengthen our immune system? Hydrotherapy. I don't think Dr. Swell had found the control randomized trial in the research study about the exactly hydrotherapy and, compared. And we haven't found that study yet, and maybe it has not been published. But it seems like from the observation, it's really been benefit. So if you are able to get into the MedCram, I would encourage what's number 46 and 47. And he explained detail more about the innate immune system. What it does is the innate immune system is when you get the virus, the body initially just responded immediately before the adaptive innate immune system come in. So the innate immunity is like the white blood cell, the monocyte, and that is very valuable. That's what happened. That's why sometime when you get the illness or the COVID, what happened is you do not go to the hospital because your symptom is not that bad because your innate immune system is strong. And some people are, he said, I don't have too many symptoms, or I'm feeling fine. But it compare for those people who have to go to the hospital, that means their immune system is down. So to me, it's very, very fascinating study. Now, the next one, I'm just going to show you about maybe 2-3 minutes. Dr. Rhonda Patrick, she is the molecular biologist, smart lady. She has a PhD, and she has done a lot of study on heat shock wave and heat shock protein. And I will show you the clip just for 3 minutes. What is the heat shock protein? Those are very important words to remember. Let's see if I can get into the, I need to forward it though. Let's see here. There's no,
from better cardiovascular fitness to a lower risk of dementia to better mood, mental health, and immunity. And you're also an expert on the specific ways that people can use saunas
How can
or
I
hot
move
baths in
forward
many cases
into the-
to maximize these benefits. What temperature should the sauna be? How long should we stay in it? How often should we use it? So really excited to jump into this, but I want to give you a brief introduction first. You have a
Here's the
PhD in
note.
biomedical science. You're published in a variety of reputable journals, including an excellent recent publication on saunas that was very comprehensive. And you're the co-founder of a popular website and YouTube channel called Found My Fitness. Dr. Patrick, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Kyle. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you for that very kind introduction.
Well, I look forward to getting into as many details as possible about both the benefits and how we can effectively use saunas.
When you think about it.
Definitely. Well, shifting gears to, you mentioned the mental and potential benefits that protect against neurodegenerative diseases like dementia or Alzheimer's. That's really, once I saw the research on that, that's something that keeps me using the sauna regularly, even if I don't feel like it or even if I don't have time, is that potential significant reduction in dementia risk. So could you talk a little bit more about that research and what's known about protection from neurodegenerative diseases?
Well, the research looking at sauna use, and specifically it's looked at Alzheimer's disease and dementia, it's really limited to just observational data, in which case sauna use is associated with a much lower risk. So like I said, around 60%, 60 to 66% lower if people are using the sauna 4 to 7 times a week. Now, why that is probably, again, a very interesting question, probably something coming down to cardiovascular health, right? So if you're basically in better cardiovascular health, you're going to have increased blood flow to the brain, and that's, known to help protect against dementia. But there's also some evidence, and this kind of gets into some of the molecular details with sauna use, and something I'm extremely interested in are heat shock proteins. And heat shock proteins, as their name implies, are activated by heat stress. And so sauna robustly activates them. There's been some studies looking at people that have sat in about 163 degree Fahrenheit sauna for 30 minutes. They're able to activate their heat shock proteins about 50% over their baseline levels. So what are heat shock proteins and why do we even care about them? Well, heat shock proteins are a stress response protein. We can talk a little bit more about what that means later. But essentially what they do is they help proteins inside of your cells. They help keep their three-dimensional structure. So every protein in your body has a three-dimensional structure, and that's important for its function. And these proteins in our body that are doing everything, all the work inside of our cells, they don't stay around forever. They eventually, they get chewed up and degraded like in a garbage can, basically, you can think about it. And so sometimes, that doesn't happen properly, and as we age, it definitely starts to go awry. And so heat shock proteins kind of help prevent that from happening. So they help prevent proteins from becoming disorganized and destructured, because when they become that way, they tend to aggregate, and they can form aggregates. And these aggregates can then form plaques. And these plaques can form in places like the vascular system, or they can form in places like the brain. So probably the classical example of plaques in the brain are amyloid beta 42 plaques that are associated with Alzheimer's disease. So there's been a whole host of evidence in animal studies that have found that elevated levels of heat shock proteins can protect against the formation of amyloid beta plaques, and they can help prevent an Alzheimer's disease-like disease in animals. So there's been a lot of evidence of that, and that I think is one interesting angle, because saunas are well known to activate heat shock proteins, and once they're activated, they stay activated for about 48 hours. I mean, they're elevated for a while. And, so constant, when you're talking about someone that's doing it 4 to 7 times a week, we don't have empirical evidence looking at a person and measuring their heat shock proteins like each day. But, one could imagine that you would see that heat shock proteins are way elevated over what their normal baseline levels are. And so what you're having is almost this constitutive activation of this family of proteins that essentially help prevent plaques from forming, among other things. So I think that's a really interesting angle as well with respect to neurodegenerative disease. And in fact, one of my first experiments when I was an early researcher at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies in La Jolla, I was doing some research on nematode worms, C. elegans, where we were injecting them with amyloid beta 42, the peptide fragment that's known to be associated with Alzheimer's disease, causing these plaques in the brain. We're injecting them into these worms and into their muscle tissue, and it causes the worms to become paralyzed because they have all these protein aggregates in their muscle and they can't move anymore. And it's a really distinct phenotype. You look at them under a microscope and they're still, but they kind of just move their nose around and feed, but they can't move. And so I did these experiments where I would boost up their heat shock proteins, and it totally corrected that. Like these worms, even though we were giving them amyloid beta 42, it totally corrected them from the paralysis, because the amyloid beta 42 wasn't forming these aggregates. So I've always kind of go back to that original study that I had done with my own hands, and it's kind of made this aha moment. I'm like, wow, these heat shock proteins are doing something cool.
Is that
Okay, so I don't mean to load you with so much science, but I think it's very important why the hydrotherapy, the science behind it. It's to improve your innate immunity and also trying to create heat shock protein. It is, to me, that is amazing, and science back it up. A long time ago, people who were in Finland probably, well, I'm feeling good, but we don't have any science to back it up. But look at that. Now we have a science to back it up. So what the basics, what Dr. Patrick said was that heat Let me see if I can point the laser. Oh, right here. The heat stress that when you create the temporary high temperature in your body, it's cause the heat shock protein enhance the functions, the ability to stay in your body for 48 hours. I think the video, she said, if you stay in the sauna for about 40 to 50 minutes at 160 degree, it increased about 50% of heat shock protein. So it's amazing. I'm not advertising. I do not get paid for the sauna company, but that's one of the benefits of sauna. And it also, see over here, to me, it's amazing right here. It protects against so much cardiovascular, Alzheimer, and Parkinson's, Huntington, which is one of the neuro disease, cardiomyopathy. Cardiomyopathy is a weakening of the heart muscle. So, and then also right here on the bottom, atherosclerosis, which is plaque in your cardiovasculars. The plaque, when it's built up, it's not only in the heart, it goes from your head to toe, right? So hopefully that is a benefit. To me, it helps understanding, because when I went to the immersion program a few months ago, I said, what on earth, heat shock protein? I never encountered heat shock protein, but now I understand the behind pathophysiology of it. It makes sense. Now, the simple remedies that is very common are hot foot bath, steam bath, fermentation, the sauna, hot and cold shower, and charcoal poultice. And if you look at that in that pictures, the water, to me, when I go to Lake Superior, the water, it's just gushing, it's just so powerful. It's not only the powerful naturally, to me, it's also powerful for our well-being. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do hot foot bath, very simple, and I'm going to show you how you can do a steam bath at home. And the fermentation, I won't have time today, but hopefully down the road, you guys come back, I'll show you how to do a fermentation. And the sauna, if anybody has a sauna, use it. And it's, you see the benefit. And then also it's so good for you, the sauna. And hot and cold water, I can talk about it, and I will explain it to you. I've been doing hot and cold shower in the past 3-4 years. Initially, cold, but it is so refreshing. The tonic effect, it's amazing. But I will explain to you. And the charcoal poultice, one of this day, I'll show you how to make charcoal poultice. And it's very easy, and I won't have time today, so you guys just have to come back. And here's the simple of the hot foot bath. You can do it is sitting up in the chairs. Today, what I'm going to show you is this, sitting up in the chair. And then you can also do it laying down. And but that is the pictures of also associated with the fermentation. How many of you knows what fermentation is? All right, and there's a couple. So the fermentation, what it does is it gives you the hot and cold compress into your chest and the back. And it is amazing. And those people who have cold or pneumonia, and then instead of using antibiotic, fermentation works. And here's the simple home steam bath. And there's a few things, and you could buy the one, see the modern, where is that? But anyhow, the one on the right corner, that is the modern steam bath. You can buy it. Amazon's selling it like for $150 $50, that including the chairs and the steam, and you go into it. And I gave the lady in the middle a steam bath, and that was in Berrien Springs, Michigan, just last March. And of course, on the left side is the sauna and the hot and cold shower, and of course the home steam bath that was in the old days. And the charcoal poultice, and I won't go through it, but I will show it to you next time. And anytime you're going to do a hot and cold treatment hydrotherapy, particularly the steam bath, you really have to be careful, and you have to keep the head cold and take baseline vital sign. What are the vital sign? The temperatures, heart rate, blood pressure. Particularly if you receive the steam bath and you do not want to get your heart rate up to about 120. And also, of course, what's the drape linen? You'll see how I do it. And also after offer water to drink periodically. And also, when you're going to give a hot foot bath, also you be careful for those people who have diabetes. Why is that? Because diabetes, a lot of time, particularly if they have diabetes for quite some time, they have neuropathy, and they don't have sensations. And not only the diabetic complication, and also those who have what we call a peripheral vascular disease, and also because they have a lot of plug up artery on their leg and lower extremities, sometimes they don't have sensation. And also, when you do the steam bath, you need to ask them when last time they eat. We want to be 1 hour before and 2 hours after, and because that can create some problem. And keeping cold is very, very important. Hydration is very important, because otherwise, because steam is vasodilated, they can pass out. To me, perfect health depends upon the perfect circulations. If you have a good circulation, I think your health is up to par where you want to be. These are my references. And the essential for health evangelism this is the book that I got. And I went to the immersion program, which is you go there for about 2 weeks. I went over there as a trainee, but also there are people come and join the program to become the guest or the client. And let me tell you, they give you a hot bath, steam bath, massage, charcoal poultice, people who have diabetes, and there was one lady who was not able to walk. They went home walking. There was one lady who had a blood sugar average 358 in the morning, and she went home with 128. But of course, it's not only all the treatment that they gave them, and also they put them on what we call a therapeutic diet. What are they? 2 meals a day at 8 o'clock and at 2 o'clock. Whole plant food diet mostly are lots of bean. They give you lots of bean, fruit, and vegetable. And then no supper. And then, I don't know, have you ever heard called intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting, what it does is when you allow your stomach to rest, it gives you lots of benefit for a good, healthy microbiome, which is the gut bacteria in your body. Because if you eat all the time, constantly, your stomach do not rest. So it was very, very intense. It was 2 weeks. It was held in Berrien Springs at Village Church. And the director was Dr. John Kelly, who is the founder for the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. He has so much passion to help other people to change their lifestyle. And let me tell you, those people who have had diabetes for some time, in fact, I met a doctor, a physician. She did not believe it. She came in January. I came in March, and she came in January, a year prior to COVID. She had high cholesterol. She said she did not want to take a cholesterol medicine. It dropped 38 points. And she also had hypothyroidism. Her thyroid woke up. She ended up become hyperthyroidism. She had to get off the medication. So, lifestyle, a good 8 principles of health, and I believe the hydrotherapy works. And to me, that is God's healing way. Any question? No? Okay, if you don't have it, yes, Karen.
Intermittent fasting, how often a week is healthy? Like, can you do it more than once a week?
Fasting? Oh,
People say that you lose muscle if you do it too much. I don't know if that's true.
you know, I have not really dived into the research study, but I only hear it. There was a pastor who went a missionary to Africa, and he got malaria. He almost died because it was so severe, and it affected his memory. His memory, he says, he just felt that he just could not remember things. So he decided that he fasts once a week, only once a week. Just every Wednesday, he drink water, but no food, no solid food. He said it perked up. So asking how often, I would be careful for those people who are diabetic, because if you're fasting, you need to drop down your medication. Just be sure you let your physician know. That's number one. And if you have a lot of other medical health issue, be sure that you in connection with your primary doctor. Yeah. And so if you're going to fast 24 hours, you be sure you drink water once a week. Mm-hmm. That's, like as far as research, I don't know. I haven't dived into the research, but I have heard that in intermittent fasting, which is sort of like you eat 2 meals a day instead of 3 meals a day. I always encourage my patient, please eat breakfast like a king, eat lunch like a queen, eat supper like a pauper. Why is that? Because in the daytime, if you eat a lot, your body is going to metabolize because you're being active. But in the evening, you have a big meal. Guess what? Where are you going to go in the evening? Except you go work night shift, you go to sleep, right? Your stomach doesn't digest your food very much. What does it end up is rot into your stomach. The food is rotten in the stomach. So do that, and I think that will benefit. And also those people who want to lose weight, that is a great benefit. And I myself, if I eat a big supper, I cannot sleep. I cannot sleep. So, and any other question? Nope, good. If you don't have any question, then I'm going to do a hot food bath. We can take this. Enough. BK, can you help me? I happen to have a big, nice, thick blanket in there. So I will feed one at a time. So it doesn't burn her feet. Can you hear me in the back? Okay, good. I'll try to speak louder. Okay. How's that?
Feels good.
So that's what you do. Minimum of, I believe, 10 minutes. It depends what effect do you want. And I think you can do 10 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever. I have a girlfriend who is a physician in South Dakota. Since COVID, she does this every night in the tub. And then what you do is, once the temperature is situated over there, and you're supposed to just cover it up using the queen size sheet. Do this. Okay. And what it does, it helps to trap the heat. Yeah. And then, so if she said, "Whoo, I am hot," and then what you do is, I have a cold water here. I'm all prepared. I think this is pretty cold. And you do this.
What does my hair do?
I'm so sorry. She said I messed up her hair. So this is what you do. And then keeping the head cold is very, very important. Okay? And then also, and because she's trapped now, and I have a cold water over here.
Oh my goodness.
And Crystal. Offer her water to drink.
Oh, sweet. It's good.
Yeah. So this is how you do a hot.
It's pretty good though.
Yeah, and you know, it is amazing. I mean, my friend told me, she said, since COVID, because she encountered a lot of COVID patients. I'm not going to talk about vaccine or not to vaccine. I think that's individual's preference. She has not gotten COVID. And she told me, she said, she does it every day for 30 minutes. She just kept putting hot water, and as she sit in the tub. So, and I truly believe, I think the hydrotherapy does work to help to the innate immunity and the heat shock protein.
Is this helping generating the interferon?
Yeah,
and increases your
innate immunity.
immunity.
Yeah. So, and
Would a good hot long shower do that?
yes, in fact, while
That seems a little less. I don't know about the ice water, but.
you know, while Michelle is sitting over there, how are you doing? Okay?
I'm doing good, yep.
Okay, I'm going to give you the handout about hot and cold shower.
Okay, good.
And as you finish, after you finish showering, get as hot as you can for 3 minutes. Okay? After that, and you turn it as cool as you can. Initially, particularly cold water here in Minnesota is cold. Cold water in California is hot. Right? And cold water in Indonesia is hot too. When I go home to Indonesia, I shower with the cold water because it's just not very cold. But here in Minnesota, it's cold. So get it to turn it as cold as you can for 30 seconds. Do it for 3 cycles. More than 3 cycles, there's no benefit. We keep our temperature at home very cold. My husband and I keep our home temperatures in the 60s. So when shower, I used to have the little heater in the bathroom just to warm it up. Since I do hot and cold shower, I don't have to do it. Once you finish the cold, you got out, you're warm. You feel warm. Now, somebody who have arthritis, you have to be very careful. Arthritis doesn't like cold, right? So when you do it, you just get it into the normal temperature or warm. So for those people who have arthritis, just don't get into the so much cold toward the end. All right? Yes?
But on the cold shower, you end on cold.
You end with cold. You end with cold. I love it.
Unless you have arthritis.
Unless you have arthritis. Somebody was asking about the sauna. The way I do it, until I get sweat, it seems like probably in about 130, 140, then I really get really sweaty. And what I do is I let it sweat for at least 3-5 minutes, and I run into the cold shower. For 30 seconds, I run back into the sauna 3 times. It feels really good. It really, it perks you up. It perks you up. It's really good. And, and this probably, somebody asked me, he said, Yin, how do you do this, how the head get hot. Hot foot bath doesn't create the core temperatures elevation that much, but the steam bath and the sauna does. You want to keep your brain cold. If you notice that, people who come into the hospital, if they have a heart attack, guess what they do? They do hypothermia treatment. They give them about 24 to 48 hours because they want to rest their brain. Yeah. So, okay. Now, and I'm just going to, I'm so sorry. So, this is done. I'm just going to pretend for the sake of time. So this is 30 minutes. And then what you do is toward the end. So you lift this up. And then you just put the feet over here. I'm just going to be very gentle. I'm not going to dip her feet into the... So this is cold water. And you do this.
Oh.
That's kind of good.
Yeah. So that's what you do. And then, okay. Is it dry?
It's dry. Yeah,
Good.
it's good. Thank you, Ian. All right.
So that's how you do the hot foot bath. And there's one time I was not feeling good. I feel like I was catching a cold. I did it myself. And then it does or feel different. I could just feel it because I like it really, really hot, and I like it really cold. And so, Michelle,
All right.
you're such a trooper.
Oh, years. Okay, I'll get Brenda's ready.
Yeah. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna-
and what if you're a couple days and not feeling well?
Huh?
I mean, would this be effective even if you weren't feeling well, you're into it for a couple days?
You just do it.
Do it anytime.
Do it anytime. Yeah. And, hot and cold showers and do hot foot bath. If you do have sauna, do it. Use sauna also. Yeah. Yes?
That was kind of going to be my question. Like, if you're kind of feeling a little lousy, is there one that's more beneficial than the other? I suppose a foot bath or a shower or...
And I think it's, of course, increasing core body temperature will be the key. But the food, like I said, it's not as much. But probably if you do have sauna will be the best, and steam bath. The steam bath or else fermentation. Yeah. Yes?
Rudy doesn't turn on the heat until about Christmas, so we get heat for Christmas. But I'm just thinking, could you take a nice hot shower, and then since the house is so cold, just step out of the shower and count that for your cold part?
It won't work. No, it doesn't. You have to shock it. Initially, let me tell you, when the first time I did it, I was just, oh my goodness, how am I going to do it? But as your body get used to it, you look for it. I mean, I'm very grateful. I haven't had a cold for a long time. I used to get a cold every winter. I hate it, and it just suddenly had cold. But since I've been doing this, I haven't had any head cold for a long time.
How often do you do the foot bath?
The foot bath is, I don't do as much foot bath. I do more sauna. Yeah, but for some time, if there's one time I was just not feeling well, I didn't want to go into the sauna, and I did foot bath. Yeah, so any hydrotherapy is going to benefit. Yeah. I hope that helps. Yeah, I'm in the shower is, honey, can I tell about you? You know, Jim, I've been telling, my husband is sitting over there in the corner. And when I started, I said, honey, do it. I said, no way, no way. And suddenly he said, honey, I'm doing it. I said, you do? So he has been doing it for quite some time now. And you could just sing as loud as you want. You just kind of, you know, during the cold part. Yeah, that's what my husband does. But, you know, the benefit is so much in there. And it's just, when I went to the immersion program in Michigan, because I have to give them to and they just look at me, I say, you kidding me? I said, you can do it, you can do it. They just said, oh, it feels good. And there was 84 years old lady. And he said, Yin, that is amazing. What the key is also, but of course this is just the sample, how explaining. The key is after you do it, you rest. You rest 20 to 30 minutes. You just cover yourself up, and then with a nice and hot blanket. Resting is very important. What it does is help to recalibrate your body. Yeah, try it. I'm looking forward to hear it. It is good. This is the.
Are you ready for it? It's,
I'm
it's
ready.
like 115.
Okay.
So Jen, when we go walking by the house and we hear you singing,
That's him.
I'll just tell Brian he's taking a shower. The neighborhood is like, what is that noise?
Okay. This is my dear BK. She's going to be my guinea pig.
Dear.
No. But you know what? She has not been feeling well. So I think this steam bath is going to help her.
I'm going to have a hot plate under me?
Yeah. Hang on, don't sit yet. So the recommendation is using a wooden chair. But since I don't have a wooden chairs, I'm just going to use this plastic. And what you do is you put a good thick towel, because you do not want to have a heat go behind her leg and also on her butt.
Why?
It's too hot. When you're sitting there, you get hot.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this thick blanket. I'm so glad I got this. So this over here, so because if the steam coming out of here is going to really kind of feeling a burn on her leg, right? Okay, BK, come on over here.
Watch the towel not getting on the burner.
No, it isn't way up here. And because now, how do you do to create a steam if you want to do it at home? There's a few things. Over here, I have a burner. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to bring the pot water that's already boiling. And then I do have the burner over here just to keep the steam going, okay? You can use a frying pan also, whatever that you have at home, or else you can use You can have a tea kettle, a small, big, and then you just put it in there. It keeps the steam going. But that is the way you do the home type of steam bath. But if you're going to buy the one that I show you, that's all trapped with the silver color, it comes with it. And it just, after it create the steam, you just hop in there and got your hot water bath in there, and you just trap in there. The purpose of it is trapping the moisture inside her body. Now, because for the sake of the demonstration, of course, we're not going to ask BK to take her clothes off, but in reality is you do take everything off, except your panties. So the heat penetrate into your skin, and so is with the steam. All right, and so, and before I do that, I need to be sure that check her.
I'm not going to bottom out here.
That's right. Now for the steam bath, I will be sure check her heart rate. I didn't do it for Michelle. We don't use this manual anymore, even in the hospital. Very hard to find a manual blood pressure in the hospital. It's amazing.
Come to the PT department. We don't have the fancy stuff.
So do you have a timer? 15 seconds?
Is she okay?
Yeah, she's good. 110/64.
That's
Tell me
usually-
when
that's
ready.
a little high for me.
Okay, just start. Stop.
22 times 4, so it's 88, right? So remember, the heart rate is 88, and we should not be higher than 120. I'm going to check her temperature. .7, and I'm going to check her water. Oh, 109. So let's see how is BK doing with the warmness.
Can I stick my feet in?
Not yet.
Oh.
Okay, I'm ready for the heat, for the pot.
I'm short.
Huh?
It is a little hot. Just
A
coming
little
out
bit
for a
hot.
sec, but I'll
She
adjust.
said it's a little bit hot.
Just 'cause my feet are kind of cold.
So I put a little bit cool water here. How's that? Fine? Okay. So now, and I will have the lid of the pot. I open it up so it create the steam. All right? And then how are we going to trap the
ceiling?
And this is a plastic painter. This is a painter plastic. So what you do is I have a lot of clothespin over here.
Oh, it's getting warm in here already.
You can feel it already. You feel too hot?
No.
Okay.
That's all right.
So the heat,
The humidity
Steam.
level went right up.
yeah, the humidity ran right up, and I will have this just to cool. Michelle, can you get some cold water here? Oh, you know what? That is, and then probably put a little bit ice in that, and then you can put it like here, like this. It cool her, and it also trap the. Yeah.
You want ice in the bucket, Yin?
A little bit. And then I put another sheet. You notice I have a lot of pink. Do I look like pink? Not really.
Yin, are you aiming to raise her temperature, her core temp?
Yes. What my goal is to make her sweat. That is the key. And that's the purpose of this steam bath. If you can make them sweat, although when I was in training, I never saw anybody really get sweaty.
Like, is it literally trying to induce a fever?
Mm-hmm.
Like bump her up to 99 instead of 98
Yeah.
or 100?
Yeah.
Do people feel lousy? I know when I get
In here?
a low-grade fever, I feel bad, like when I'm sick.
No.
Does this artificial elevation?
It felt really good. It felt really good.
I'm just coming on COVID, so I'm like,
Yeah. And then, of course, and I'm going to ask her if she would like to have any cold water. And I have some cold water in here. How are you doing? Is it too hot in here? You're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. So if I'm like, this is already 10 or 15 minutes already, I want to be sure I check her pulse. And what you do, because she's being trapped, I cannot check her pulse in her hand. So I'm checking the carotid pulse. Honey, can you do it again? Yeah. Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
It's about the same, about 80, 84, 88, a little bit higher, just only, yeah. How are you doing? Are you feeling dizzy or anything? No?
I'm still upright. I was worried about that.
Yeah, because she was worried. She said, "You know what happened if I pass out?" I said, "I promise I will not let you pass out." I said, "I will keep her head cold and then keep her hydrate." That's the key, is hydrate and keep her head cold. How are you doing? Are you feeling the hot?
Yeah, I totally feel
She's
very
looking
humid
a
in
little
here.
flush in the face.
Do you notice that? Yeah. That means it's vasodilate. It's open it up. Yeah. Yeah. So I would exchange this every so often.
Is it cold or warm?
Cold.
Cold. I have ice in there. Yeah.
Cold on the head helps.
Yeah, putting this is really help. And you know, when somebody did it to me, oh, it's so awesome. It feels so good. Particularly when they put this coal and this over here, because your body was so warm. And then with this, it just, it's so relaxing. So it's supposed to be lasted for 30 minutes. Toward the end of it, if there's a shower, they're supposed to go to the shower and get a cold shower. But if not, you can use what we call it cold friction. What you do is you just give them a washcloth, friction, and do just really brush, wiping into their skin all over the body. Head from the chest to the feet.
Is a certain way you push the rage? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then toward the end of it, and then I will also put cold water. Yeah. That's how we do the steam bath. Any question?
Is there a benefit you think for the steam bath like this versus a hot cold shower?
It go back into the how much the core temperature is going to go up. The hot and cold is good, but for the core temperatures to go up, steam bath. Yeah.
Use less water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, if you don't have the sauna, getting that steam bath is excellent. Get the Christmas present for $150.
You need a partner for this one, then.
Huh?
You kind of need a partner for this to help you.
Yeah.
Hard to
Doing
do by
this
yourself.
one is sometimes you need, some help, but although you can do it yourself,
do it
though.
yourself?
Mhm. If you have all the water ready, the only thing is probably wrapping it up.
Yeah.
I was hoping